What's up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to FanDuel sponsored Crunch Time. We have a crazy 7-game slate. Apologies for being 1 minute late here. We just had to gather our thoughts and figure out everything that was going on with this Grizzlies situation since the new projections update came in. My name is TJ Zwarch. We got the Triple T formation going today, joined, as always, by Tim Buell. Tasteful Tides, how you doing?
Man, this is crazy stuff with this Memphis rotation. So we're going to have to talk this through as we go, right? Definitely an interesting situation. Memphis only has 8 guys, and a couple of them I've never heard of. So there we go.
And of course, the third member of the Triple T formation joining us for the second day in a row. We got Taylor Smith. Hey, Bojangles, how you doing?
Doing well. It's going to be wild. We should get a Grizzlies lineup any minute. So, we will figure it out on the fly.
We are doing it live. I'll do the fastest ad reads ever here, and then we will just dive right into it. Smash the like button if you're watching us on YouTube. It's weekend content. It's free. All we need is a like, so do us a favor and hit that like button. Of course, FanDuel is sponsored by Crunch Time. Crunch Time is sponsored by FanDuel. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And you can use those free bets you get and use them with the Props and Pick'em package. The experts at the RotoGrinders projections team take our premium stats, comb through the market for any inefficiencies. Using our model, you can easily see which lines are off, where to find them, and how likely the prop will hit based on our tool. You can also now try out the Props and Pick'em package as a 3-day pass, and it will auto-renew for the monthly rate after the 3 days are up. Use the link in the description below. And finally, if you are running low on time, if you just got this Grizzly news and you don't know what to do, thankfully, you can use SimLabs because it is the expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs. Now you can use it for both NFL and NBA. With a few clicks, you can have hundreds of well-built, correlated lineups for whatever contest type you're playing. Running out of time before lock, quickly build a set of lineups to fill out your entries. Want to see who might be falling under the radar? Use the tool to examine players the field might be sleeping on. All combo subscribers currently have access to both NBA and NFL. And if you got NBA Premium, you have access to the SimLabs there also. All right, let's do this slate overview. I'll throw it to Taylor for this one since you did the core plays article, but Tim, chime in at any point. We'll go Taylor for cash, Tim for tournaments. But again, both of you, this is such a crazy slate. Feel free to articulate whatever you want, cash and tournaments.
I just want to jump in before Taylor starts. We did get Grizz starting lineup, but it's exactly what we had projected. So it's Gilliard, Kennard, Roddy, Gigi Jackson, and Jameson. So it's exactly what we thought it would be.
All right, good. That makes things a little bit easier. Taylor, why don't you basically take us through what you're doing with the Grizzlies, I guess, first and foremost.
Yeah, so let's see. Clicking over to FanDuel. Like we said, they have 8 guys. The starters are the starters. The bench guys are still going to play a lot because they have to. We have Gilliard and Scottie Pippen projected to both play 26 minutes, so a little bit of overlap between them. Luke Kennard played 18 minutes in the last game, which was his first after an injury. We have him at 26 tonight, so he's not really popping. He's going to be, we think, a little bit limited, but that's just a guess, honestly. Like, just based on the last game, he could certainly play more if they have to have him play more. So I think the staples, Trey Jameson starting at center, projected to play 34 minutes. He's barely over min price on both DraftKings and FanDuel. I think he's probably a core play now in cash just because he's a cheap center. David Roddy, 36-minute projection. He's more expensive, but still cheap relative to the average player. Not the most comfortable per minute guy, but he just kind of has to do stuff by default. Gigi Jackson also starting. We've seen a ceiling from him on occasion with the team healthier than they are today, so he should get plenty of burn. Those are the 3 that I think are core cash plays. Roddy, Jackson, and Jameson. you can make a case for Towson, the near min price small forward. You can make a case for either point guard, Scottie Pippen, or Jacob Gilyard. I would shy away from Kennard and Cash. I just think there are other options. It's not like that cheap anyway. So, yeah, I think that's kind of how the Grizzlies shake out for Cash. And I think it applies to both sides.
All right, well, start us off at the point guard position, and let's build out a lineup here. I want to save lots of time for questions since this is such a crazy slate. I'll take them from the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat first, and then I will go to the YouTube chat second, which, of course, remember, hit that like button, subscribe over there. Let's take this position by position, starting at point guard.
Yeah, so before the Memphis stuff, we had Cody Martin, Frank Ntilikina get ruled out for the Hornets, along with LaMelo Ball. So it was looking like it was going to be a lot of Ish and Nick Smith, but now they're kind of secondary values, honestly. They're both still good. Ish is going to start. We already got word on that. Tyler Hero just got downgraded to questionable, so that's new. Nick Smith is the one I think we have projected for more minutes. He's also cheaper, at least on DK, he's cheaper with small forward eligibility. But at this point, it kind of looks like a pay-up spot for Cash. Damian Lillard, if he plays, looks good. Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez out for the Bucks. So he's a decent value for 9K on FanDuel against Utah. It's a good matchup. SGA, I had tagged for most of the day. I untagged him for Giannis. But I still love SGA against Toronto. The matchup is a great one. The Raptors defense has been not good since they traded Anunoby and Siakam. So Shea for 11-3 just looks great. I think that kind of does it for point guard. Shooting guard, mentioned Kennard. Malik Beasley, we have projected for major minutes. Potentially gets a boost again if Lillard, who's questionable, is out. Derek White gets the biggest usage bump of the Celtics with Jaylen Brown out. The matchup on the opposite side of that game is a great one for the Celtics. Obvious blowout concern, but Boston should be on the winning side of that if it does get out of hand. Anthony Edwards, maybe. Shooting guard, small forward looks okay. Don't love that game in general against Houston. Small forward, David Roddy, I mentioned a core play. Essentially now Miles Bridges gets plenty of usage for Charlotte since they're shorthanded. Beasley, Kennard, you can play here. Anthony Edwards. Brandon Miller gets the biggest usage boost of the team with LaMelo out. Another Hornet to consider. RJ Barrett, we got news that he's in. So in the 7K range, he's not bad, assuming he's not limited. I mentioned Towson from the Grizzlies as another potential punt. Power forward's pretty simple. It's Gigi Jackson, Bobby Portis, and Giannis. They're all power forward only. So now the guys popping into most lineups are Jackson and Portis. But if you want to pay up for Giannis, I certainly have no qualms with that. I'm a little nervous about Giannis just because it's a back-to-back and they're sitting a bunch of other regulars and he's probable. Probable is not always meant in for the Bucks. So just keep that on your radar just in case. And at center, like I mentioned, it's Trey Jameson and Cash. You're just punting with him and moving on with your life.
So what do you do here? Say we get Giannis and Lillard both ruled out because that's the type of slate this is. You're obviously making sure you get Portis. I think SGA obviously becomes then a core play. And we still have 7,300 per position. And we're probably that's going to be pretty tough. But you essentially just got to hope you get that news early enough to get Giannis. Because you're already going to have Jameson in there, so you can't pivot to Jokic. Yeah. This is going to be a very, very interesting situation. Let's start at point guard, Tim. Who do you like today on FanDuel?
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously Dame is a standout play if he does in fact play. Shea, now you can fit extremely easily now that we have all this value. I wouldn't stray too far at point guard. I do like Ish. I do prefer Ish over Gilyard. I don't mind Derek White either, but I mean now I think the Celtics are like 20-point favorites, so I'm really sketched out about playing any Boston guys, but I think maybe they're viable for GPPs. Jamal Murray again, they're 15-point favorites. But I think I think if you're not going to play Shea, then you need to really punt the position. And then obviously there's the Lillard situation. I would love to play Lillard, but I'm not convinced that he's going to play. So shooting guard, I really like Malik Beasley. I know that's pretty gross, but there's going to be some extra usage for him, so I don't mind getting to him. Luke Kennard, he's gonna have to play some minutes, and he's only 5,500. We only have him projected for 26 minutes, but I mean, I think he could go over that potentially. And he's like their only real NBA player at this point, so he might be the guy. Nick Smith once again for Charlotte in a really good matchup. He's going to be playing off the bench. He's only 3,800. I think we just got news that Josh Richardson is starting over Hero.
Yeah.
So how
I
much
don't
is
think I
he?
care. I think I want to. Let's see, 4,800. Assuming he get 30 minutes.
I don't know.
I still don't think it's worth it.
No.
Warren play on DK where he's like 3-7, but even that's like kind of scary.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So shooting guard, yes. I don't mind Anthony Edwards, even though that's not the best game environment, but like you're gonna need raw points. I think Colin Sexton at 7,400. I really like the Jazz tonight. We're going to get multiple pieces of Milwaukee, so getting to a Jazz run back with a ceiling, I think, is a really good idea. Small forward, David Roddy. I think he's like the chalk that's like the really like is good chalk. He should be a core piece in your GPPs. I'm not afraid to eat that chalk. I really like Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller. So Roddy's probably better used at power forward. But I think Roddy should be like a core piece of your GPPs. I'm out on Tatum tonight just because I think this game's gonna be a blowout. I don't really care that Brown is out. I just would rather pay all the way up to Giannis or Jokic or Lillard or people like that. So I think I'm out on Tatum at 10-1, just because the Celtics distribute the ball really well, and that game is just not going to be competitive. So I'm out on Tatum. Power forward, I think Gigi Jackson is another core piece that I'm not going to be afraid to really get overweight on. Bobby Portis is the same way at 5,500. That's way too cheap on FanDuel, and then Giannis. So like this whole power forward, small forward situation is very, very loaded with like really good values and really good spend up options. So that small forward, power forward zone is a position that I would not screw around with. Like I would get overweight as much as you can on guys like Gigi, guys like Roddy, guys like Giannis, Bobby Portis even. So like that's definitely a spot where that's it's a pretty loaded spot. And then with all that value, we have even more value. So Trey Jameson, he's going to be the chalk. I think there's a case to be made to at least fade him on FanDuel because it's so easy to pay up for Jokic. I'm not sure what you want to do, but I'm a little bit nervous about playing a super, super chalky Trey Jameson. I'd much rather play a super chalky Jackson or Roddy or somebody like that. Sure, 3,800 is great savings, but I think if Jokic is going to be kind of forgotten about, I would load up with him. And also, since power forward, small forward is so loaded, you could also play Portis at the center position, which I think is super interesting. And then one other center that I really like is Chet Holmgren playing against Toronto at 8,100.
All right, I like it. Let's make the pivot over to DraftKings here. Taylor, start us out with the cash build at the point guard position. We got core plays over here. Jackson, Jameson, apologies. There's going to be a few because I'm running 150 lineups today. You'll see my exposures here. And there's going to be a few maybe adjusted, adjusted projections. But we got Portis, Gregory Jackson, Trey Jameson, and Giannis Antetokounmpo tagged. Let's start at the point guard position. Who are we thinking about playing for cash?
So yeah, the two
As
Grizzlies.
you can see, sorry, I was kind of expecting Damian Lillard to sit. That's why I bumped up Cameron Payne.
Yeah, that'll be quite interesting if that comes to pass. Probably won't get that before lock, but yeah. So Jacob Gilyard and Scottie Pippen, like I said, gonna overlap potentially. Both see mid-20s at least minutes, we think. Gilyard is starting. Pippen has been the better per minute guy. I think you can play both in cash if you want. Ish Smith again, sub 4K, starting for the Hornets. Don't mind him if you're kind of scared off Gilyard. I don't blame you if you are. It's easy now in cash to pay up for Giannis and SGA with all this Memphis value. I think that's probably the way to go. SGA only 10-3 on DK, which is silly. He's at 1.77 fantasy points per minute with Jalen Williams out. So happy to pay up for him in cash. Derek White, like I said, gets a usage boost with Jalen Brown out. Minutes may be a little concerning if this game is a laugher, which it should be, but you never know. He's 6'4" on DK, so still cheap enough to get to, even if the game does get out of hand. Lillard projects really well if he's in. Like we said, we don't know if he is. But that news will come later. Shooting guard Derek White, Luke Kennard, Brandon Miller. Same guys we talked about on FanDuel. Jordan Clarkson, I don't mind as one of those Jazz runbacks on the other side of the Milwaukee game. I think he's 6K flat on DK, which is pretty intriguing. Don't think we need Malik Beasley anymore with all these Grizzlies. Brandon Miller, again, at small forward available. GG Jackson, both forward spots. Nick Smith, small forward eligible for 3-3 on DK, which is nice. Tatum, maybe. I'd rather pay up for Giannis and SGA, though. Jay Crowder kind of falls down the list now. He looked better earlier when we didn't know about Memphis. Sliding to power forward, Jackson and Giannis again. David Roddy, Bobby Portis. The case for fading Portis is that you're just filling up your forward spots already, and Roddy is cheaper on DK than Portis is.
Do all of them.
Yeah, you can, and you probably should, because Portis is a good play either way, unless he gets randomly scratched. But let's not go there. And at power forward, I mentioned these guys already. Al Horford starting, but don't think we need that. He's the first guy to the bench if the game blows out. And at center, Trey Jameson, of course, for 3-1. Very obvious play. Jokic is now popping into more lineups. Say if you don't want to play SGA and you want to have Jokic as kind of a late hammer, I have no qualms with that. We saw him completely demolish the same Portland team the other night. I don't see any reason to think he can't do it again. So, yeah, that is pretty stars and scrubsy, but I think that's the way we're looking on this slate.
All right, Tim, how about you? Who you liking today on DraftKings?
Yeah, so Josh Richardson is kind of popping on DraftKings at 3,700 at point guard only. I think he's an interesting pivot, but I prefer Pippen over Gilyard, even though Gilyard's projecting better. I think Shea's ownership is going to be dropping a little bit, so he's a strong play for tournaments. I was on Ish Smith. Now I'm going to scratch that idea and play one of these cheap either Richardson or Pippen. But Ish is going to be a strong play. Obviously Lillard, if he plays, he'd be a strong pay up option. But I think that this is a position, unless I'm playing SGA, this is a position that I'm going to try and save at. Going over to shooting guard. Yeah, I mean, Luke Kennard's fine. I don't think he's great. I really like that price on Jordan Clarkson. I think that's a really strong tournament play. I love Brandon Miller also, and Colin
As you
Sexton.
can see, I X'd out Luke Kennard, so that's why he wasn't in there.
Okay,
for me,
but yeah, I don't mind it if people X him out because I don't think he has a huge ceiling. So like if he goes for 30, that's not going to be enough. So I don't mind Xing him out. Yeah, so Sexton, Clarkson, and Miller are my favorite shooting guards for GPPs. Going over to small forward really quick. Yeah, so GG Jackson, I think he's a core play. I've already gone over that for FanDuel. I love Miles Bridges as a spend-up option at small forward. I don't mind Nick Smith coming off the bench for Charlotte as a GPP flyer. Like I said, I think I'm going to be fading Tatum. I like Brandon Miller. Power forward. David Roddy. Again, Gigi and Roddy are my two favorite Memphis pieces. Giannis, I think, is pretty much a core play in tournaments at this point. Bobby Portis does not have as good a price on DK as he does on FanDuel, but I still think he has tournament upside. And then somebody that's a little bit more contrarian, I think, is going to be a guy like Karl Anthony Towns at 8K flat. I think it's a really good price tag for him, and it's a way to get different with your builds. Yeah. So, and then center, I would say that I'm the most nervous about Jameson chalk, but I get it. He's only 3,100. But yeah, so he might be one that I would consider fading, but it's like he just fits so nicely. So it's like it's hard not to play him. If you don't want to play him, I think to get different, I really like Chet Holmgren. Obviously, there's Jokic, there's Cat, there's Rudy Gobert, there's Nick Richards in a really good spot also. So there's a lot of ways you can get different at center tonight.
I didn't fully lock in Trey Jameson, but I got pretty darn close at that center position. I have 98% Jameson, 80% Giannis, 33% Portis, mixing in some Matt Hurt and getting as much Jokic as I can in there. Smidgen of Richards, Holmgren, Şengün, and John Collins. Let's go to the Qs here. We're getting the DraftKings or the RotoGrinders Discord first. Not DraftKings, Discord. Too many D words. And then we'll get the YouTube chat second. But YouTube, smash that like button. We only got 50 likes. There's over 300 people watching. Should be able to easily get this up over 100. We got Tim answering questions in chat already, helping you out. And it's free content. All you got to do is take your mouse, click a little button. You're watching on your phone, click hide chat, then smash that like button. It does wonders for us. Let's go. QQ time. FanDuel Cash, Taylor. Giannis and Nick Smith or Tatum and Portis?
Giannis, Nick Smith for me.
Would you change that up if you were in tournaments? Because he's also putting that in a single entry. So it's Tim, what do you think in a single entry? Giannis and Nick Smith or Tatum and Portis?
The first one.
FanDuel Cash, Taylor, White and Miller or Kennard and Bridges?
White Miller.
DK GPP, Tim, Barnes or Markkanen? Scotty Barnes or Lauri Markkanen?
I would definitely go Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, I love him for tournaments today as well. Looking at the YouTube chat, Tim, what do you think of Chris Dunn as a fill-in?
I don't really love that. The Jazz are so tough with their minutes. I don't think that's that good of a play.
I don't disagree that the Celtics game today is likely going to be a blowout. I know you guys were bringing that up before regarding like Tatum and White, and then a few people in chat saying like you can't play Celtics starters today because of a blowout. Let's not forget that just like either their last game or the game before, they were 15-point favorites against the Lakers, who didn't have LeBron James or Anthony Davis, and they lost the game. It's not even like they didn't just blow them out. They got borderline blown out. And you can look at this two ways. One, maybe something like that happens again and it stays close, or they want to make damn sure that doesn't happen again. And so, yeah, maybe Tatum plays 3 quarters, but maybe he drops 50 points in those 3 quarters. So I do think these guys are definitely reasonable in tournaments, especially considering how many Memphis players we want to get to today. Tim, Josh Richardson or Scottie Pippen Jr. at point guard and a DK GPP?
Yeah, it's super tough. I actually like going Jay Rich.
DK Cash, Taylor, Jokic and Pippen or Portis and SGA?
I think Portis SGA is a little safer. And I agree about the Celtics, especially with Jaylen Brown out. The usage should be more condensed, even if the minutes are somewhat limited.
FanDuel Cash, play Pat Connaughton instead of Nick Smith so I can swap to Payne if Dame is out. What do you think about that one, Taylor?
I just don't think Connaughton is really viable. I know they're shorthanded. I just don't know. I'd feel much more confident with Nick Smith's minutes for one thing.
I don't hate that idea for, I mean, maybe this is more of a tournament thing, but I do like that idea of just like Nick Smith probably doesn't get that many more than 20 points. So even if Connaughton gets you, 16, that may not be the worst case scenario for if you get Payne and you can maybe get 30. Thoughts on Trey Jameson? He is a core play in all formats. All formats, core play, Trey Jameson. What else do we got here? How about Andrew Nemhard? That is a no-go today. You're not playing any Andrew Nemhard. What's the minutes projection for Kennard? Tim, you hit that one already. It's 26. Any interest in Delano Banton? No interest in Delano Banton. Back to Discord here. Who is the safest play, if any, on Memphis, Taylor? What do you think?
Well, I would lean GG Jackson there. Him or James, I don't know. I guess you can't really say Jameson's safe since we don't really know who he is. So probably Roddy or GG Jackson I'd go with.
Yeah, I would go with Roddy. Just my opinion.
Tim, 5,400 or less in a DraftKings tournament at shooting guard. Who would you go with? I think for me, I would probably maybe say Buddy Hield since he's starting.
Right.
But we got Norman Powell. You could go Whitmore. What are you thinking there?
I don't mind Whitmore. I actually kind of like Malik Beasley today. I know that's pretty gross, but I don't mind Hield in tournaments. So yeah, I go Hield.
DK GPP Taylor, Giannis or Joker?
I think you're going to get really low ownership, relatively low ownership on Jokic. Giannis is the better play, but Jokic is the pivot.
DK Cash Taylor, you want Derek White or Jordan Clarkson?
I would lean White, but I do like Clarkson quite a bit.
Tim, DK GPP, Giannis or Jokic, straight up, another one.
Yeah, I'd say straight up, I'd say Giannis.
Are 4 Grizz too? Pardon me. Are 4 Grizz too many Grizz? I don't think 4 Grizz is too many Grizz. And Mr. Irrelevant says he has a feeling about Jalen Smith against the Hornets. Should I ignore it since we have so much value? I'm playing 150 lineups today. I had Jalen Smith in my pool because I had a similar feeling. I X'd him out after all this Memphis value popped up. So that's kind of was my thought process with it as well, Tim. Hauser or Trey Mann in a tournament, Tim?
Oh.
Terrence Mann, sorry.
I really want to say neither. Yeah. I think there's so many good, better cheap plays, but I guess Hauser if I had to pick one.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you want to go to either of them, but Hauser if you're choosing one. Steven says, I'm playing both Giannis and Joker in the same DK lineup. Any thoughts? Love it. It's a great idea. I think I want to have for me, I know most people aren't as high on Tatum, but for me, I want to have 2 of Giannis, Jokic, SGA, and Tatum in almost every lineup I'm playing today. We have hit lock. Good luck tonight, everyone. I hope you cash in all of your contests. On behalf of hit that like button on your way out, people. Come on, let's do it. On behalf of myself, Taylor, Tim, and everyone here at RotoGrinders, thank you so much for tuning in. And we will have more great NBA content for you throughout the week. Peace.